You hear the music. Hello, everybody. I'm Ed Robinson, and welcome to another exciting edition of the League Wraparound. This is the program that gets you caught up on anything and everything happening around the NFL. Coming up on this edition of the program, we'll preview Week 14's most important games, including Thursday Night Football, which is going to be a great one between the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, as both of these teams fight for supremacy in the NFC North. Plus, we have your Week 14 game picks and so much more. We have news involving some important players fighting injuries, and it also involving a suspension involving a Houston Texans player. That's coming up on this edition of the program. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the program. And as we wind down on the second half of the NFL season, we just want to let each and every one of you, let all the listeners know that we hope that you've had a very happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you had plenty of turkey and dressing, or some of you like stuffing, or whatever your preferences are, your side dishes or whatever. We hope that you had a safe, blessed, and a very happy Thanksgiving, as we are in the heart of the holiday season right now, and certainly we're in the heart of the NFL season. In last Sunday's game which was between the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars, Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair was given a 3-game suspension after a nasty hit on Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence was attempting to slide, and Al-Shaair leaned with his forearm, and he wound up taking his forearm and striking Lawrence in the head and neck area. And as a result of that hit, Lawrence did not finish the game. He was diagnosed with a concussion, and we'll get more into Trevor in just a little bit, but bottom line is this. Al-Shaair was given a 3-game suspension by the NFLPA, the NFL Players Association, and Al-Shaair, again, recently the league upheld his suspension, which means that he will serve his 3-game suspension. So, again, that's always a gray area. It's tough to play defense in the NFL, but I think they made the right move. I mean, the name of the game is not only to play at a high level, but player safety has to be extremely high. And after seeing what happened with Al-Shaair and what he did to Trevor Lawrence, I was like, yeah, they made the right move with the NFL and the NFL Players Association giving him that 3-game suspension. So, again, Texans linebacker Azeez Al-Shaair has been suspended 3 games for the brutal hit that he laid on Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. And speaking of Trevor Lawrence will miss the remainder of the regular season. Lawrence is expected to have surgery to repair his AC joint in his left shoulder in the coming weeks. This is according to NFL Network's Ian Rappaport. So, again, Jacksonville Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence will miss the remainder of the regular season due to an AC joint injury in his left shoulder, and he is expected to have surgery. So Lawrence is expected to make a full recovery in 2025. So, again, we have the Al-Shaair 3-game suspension, Trevor Lawrence done for the year. And, again, it's been such a tough year for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't know what the future is going to hold for head coach Doug Peterson, but I don't know, definitely there's going to be a lot of cleaning house in Jacksonville. Could Shedeur Sanders or maybe Travis Hunter or maybe Ashton Genty, could those gentlemen turn around things in Jacksonville? Who knows? But nevertheless, Lawrence is expected to make a full recovery and be ready for the 2025 season. Also, some more news to pass along to you in terms of injuries. San Francisco 49ers running back Christian McCaffrey placed on injured reserve, and he is expected to miss the remainder of the regular season due to him suffering a knee injury in last Sunday night's game against the Buffalo Bills. He suffered a PCL sprain in his left knee, and so if you know about Christian, he fought hard to come back this year as a result of the Achilles tendonitis, and he was slowly getting back to the Christian McCaffrey of old. He's on injured reserve. However, knock on wood, if the 49ers decide to make the playoffs, Kyle Shanahan says that McCaffrey could return for the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. But again, Christian McCaffrey will miss the remainder of the regular season due to a PCL sprain in his left knee. But he could return for the playoffs. And also, 49ers backup running back Jordan Mason is currently out with a high ankle sprain. He's been placed on injured reserve. So McCaffrey and Mason are both out. So now Isaac Guerrero given the keys to the car, and certainly he's going to be someone that's going to be getting a lot of action as those two running backs are going to be on injured reserve. And finally, for the New Orleans Saints, tight end Taysom Hill is done for the remainder of the regular season after suffering a season-ending knee injury, wind up suffering a torn ACL in last Sunday's game against the Los Angeles Rams. So if you know about the New Orleans Saints and you know about their offense, Taysom Hill is somebody that's been on point and somebody that's definitely been an all-world player, the Swiss Army knife. Since Taysom has been in New Orleans, he fits that offense so well. During the Sean Payton era, he made things happen for Taysom in terms of getting him in plays, whether it be passing plays or having him line up as a quarterback. And you're still seeing his involvement with the Saints offense, but Hill wind up suffering the knee injury while completing a fourth down conversion and tore his ACL, and he is done for the remainder of the year. And certainly Taysom Hill is somebody that's, highly respected for his unique playmaking ability, somebody that's been in the lore of New Orleans Saints culture for quite a long time. But again, Taysom Hill suffered a torn ACL in last Sunday's game against the Rams, and he is done for the rest of the regular season. All right, so that takes care of that. Now it's time to preview Week 14's most important games in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns will square off against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So for Cleveland, tough loss Monday night to the Denver Broncos. Jameis Winston statistically passed for almost 500 yards in the contest, but he threw 4 interceptions. And that's kind of what you get when you're dealing with Jameis Winston. You have to take the good with the bad, the bitter with the sweet. When he's on, he is on. And when he's off, he's off. But one thing about Jameis, he comes ready to compete and he comes ready to play. For the Pittsburgh Steelers, Russell Wilson threw for over 400 yards in the win over the Cincinnati Bengals. Pittsburgh's offense moving down the field, they are fluid, they are playing at such a high level, and Pittsburgh's defense, T.J. Watt will definitely be in Canton one day with a bust and wearing that Hall of Fame jacket, but Cleveland and Pittsburgh, it's been a dogfight ever for decades with these two teams playing one another, and it's going to be good. It's going to be a good one with Jameis Winston going up against Russell Wilson. And you can expect a lot of Cleveland fans to be at Acrisure Stadium in downtown Pittsburgh. It should be a fun one with the Cleveland Browns going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Atlanta Falcons will square off against the Minnesota Vikings. So Atlanta's quarterback, Kirk Cousins, returns to Minnesota. He was the quarterback for, I want to say maybe 5-6 seasons with the Vikings, and this is his first run with the Atlanta Falcons. And Kirk had a tough game last week with his team losing to the Los Angeles Chargers. This is going to be another tough one for him. This is going to be an emotional game for him as he returns to Minnesota, where he spent many seasons as the starting quarterback. As for the Minnesota Vikings, hard-fought, close victory over the Arizona Cardinals. Sam Darnold. I mentioned earlier about Saquon Barkley, Josh Allen, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson being MVP candidates. Well, you have to put Sam Darnold in that mix as well. Sam Darnold has played at such a high level. He only signed a 1-year contract with the Vikings, and wherever he goes next year, he is definitely somebody that's going to be sought after because the man has shown so much. He has shown a lot. He has shown just a never say die attitude. He has shown a never give up attitude. He has shown that his career is not over. We saw what happened during his time with the New York Jets, also with the stops in San Francisco and Carolina. But man, he has had a great year this year and definitely should deserve strong consideration for league MVP, maybe offensive player of the year. But this is going to come down to both offenses really doing their thing. Kirk Cousins comes back to Minnesota. Sam Darnold looking to continue to show off what he's done this year. And this is going to be a great game between the Atlanta Falcons and the Minnesota Vikings. The Seattle Seahawks will square off against the Arizona Cardinals. First off, for the Cardinals, tough loss to the Minnesota Vikings last week. Kyler Murray played not a great game, could have done better, but he's looking to improve and get better as the Cardinals make their trek back to the West Coast, back to the desert to take on the Seattle Seahawks. As for the Seahawks, currently on a winning streak, Geno Smith playing well. The Seahawks defense has been awesome, man. Leonard Williams had a game for the ages last week in the victory over the New York Jets. And for the Seahawks, it is going to be, I mean, they can't be stopped right now. I like the running combination with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Those two really complement one another. So we're going to have an interesting one in the desert because both of these teams are trying to jockey for position in terms of who's going to be at the top of the NFC West. Seattle is currently leading the division. Arizona wants to get into the playoffs. They're right at the back end of things in terms of that wild card spot. They're currently in the hunt. So Arizona, they have to play almost mistake-free football. So this should be a good one in the desert with the Seattle Seahawks going up against the Arizona Cardinals. We have the Chicago Bears going up against the San Francisco 49ers. So for San Francisco, the injuries continue. Christian McCaffrey on injured reserve. Jordan Mason, Christian's backup, on injured reserve. The 49ers, Brock Purdy, slowly but surely coming around, coming back from the shoulder injury. George Kittle, slowly but surely coming back from his injury. Same thing for Deebo Samuel and Jawan Jennings. As for Chicago, I mentioned earlier about the situation with Matt Eberflus. Eberflus was fired as head coach from the Chicago Bears. Thomas Brown, the interim offensive coordinator, now the interim head coach for the Bears. So it's been one heck of a week for Chicago. They lose the game on Thanksgiving Day. Black Friday, Eberflus is fired. That same day, Thomas Brown is named the interim head coach. So Chicago, they're trying anything in their power to save this season. It's going to be tough as they head out to the West Coast to take on a team that they're fighting for their playoff lives as well. That's the San Francisco 49ers. So let's see what's going to happen. What's going to happen with Chicago with Thomas Brown being the interim head coach, and what's going to happen because not only you have Christian McCaffrey on injured reserve, but you have a backup in Jordan Mason. He's on injured reserve, so Brock Purdy is going to have to carry a lot of the load once again as we have the Chicago Bears take on the San Francisco 49ers. We have the Buffalo Bills taking on the Los Angeles Rams. Let's start off with the Rams. The Rams, big win over the New Orleans Saints. Game started off real slow. The Rams offense just couldn't get going, but it got going late in the third quarter. Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, they did their thing. But Kyren Williams is a difference maker. He is a game changer with the Rams offense. For the Buffalo Bills, they dismantled the 49ers in that snow game on Sunday night. Josh Allen, MVP candidate. James Cook ran like a madman. He was on a mission in the snow, scoring a touchdown and then some. Buffalo's on point right now, and Buffalo is hoping to continue that winning streak as they head to the West Coast to take on the Los Angeles Rams. I mean, these two offenses are very potent, and I think it's going to come down to the two quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford. Which quarterback is going to make the fewest mistakes? Which quarterback is going to make the big plays? We'll find out with a good one between the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams. Sunday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers will go up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's start off with the Chargers. Big win over the Atlanta Falcons last week. The Chargers defense came through in the clutch, specifically Derwin James Jr. getting an interception. And as far as the Kansas City Chiefs are concerned, they are 11-1. They did clinch the AFC West, but they're still winning close games. They have not had the knockout game this year. They have not had that Kansas City Chiefs game that in the past we're like, oh yeah, the Chiefs are indeed back. They can put up points. We just have not had that this year. And if there's any team that they cannot play around with, they cannot play around with the Los Angeles Chargers. Justin Herbert is tough as they come. The head coach, Jim Harbaugh, you know he's tough as nails too. One of the toughest quarterbacks to ever play in the NFL. So it's Sunday night. The lights are bright. It's going to be at Arrowhead Stadium. It's always loud. Never a dull moment in Kansas City. Never a dull moment at Arrowhead Stadium with the Los Angeles Chargers going up against the Kansas City Chiefs. Monday Night Football, we have the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Dallas Cowboys. So let's start off with Dallas. They had a solid victory over the New York Giants on Thanksgiving Day. Offense moved very slow, but they were opportunistic. Cooper Rush made plays when he had to. CeeDee Lamb, solid in his performance in the game. And defensively, Dallas was strong. DeMarvion Overshown scored an interception return touchdown. Micah Parsons was effective. And Dallas is hoping to continue that momentum as Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the Cincinnati Bengals come to town. For Cincinnati, statistically, they have played very well this year. Here's the problem. They are below 500. They do not have a winning record. They lost a tough game to their AFC North rival, Pittsburgh Steelers, last Sunday. Joe Burrow playing at a high level. Jamar Chase playing at a high level. But they do not have a winning record. And this is a must-win game for the Cincinnati Bengals for them to stay alive, for them to just be in the hunt and have some sort of consideration to get into the playoffs. It's been a tough year for both teams. But Dallas, there's a glimmer of hope for Dallas. There's a glimmer of hope that they can maybe turn this thing around somehow, some way. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it's the soap opera that never ends. And it's indeed going to be a soap opera that will continue on Monday night with the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Dallas Cowboys. All right, now it's time for my game of the week. My game of the week is going to be the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers and Chiefs. This rivalry goes way back to the days of the AFL. And the Chargers and Chiefs, these two teams have had some great Hall of Fame players. And we come into the present where we have two dynamic quarterbacks, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. Justin Herbert, strong arm, accurate arm, athletic ability, tough as they come. Patrick Mahomes, you know what Patrick brings to the table. Razzle-dazzle, a Harry Houdini style of play. Constantly just being a magician at work, doing what he does best. Plays and being a game changer. These two quarterbacks, since they've entered the NFL, they've treated us to some fantastic games and definitely had some major fourth quarter comebacks and some close games. When we talk about the Chiefs and the Chargers, we talk about not just the quarterbacks, but also the head coaches. Jim Harbaugh doing an amazing job in his first year with the Chargers. Andy Reid, future Hall of Famer. The relationship he has, not just with Patrick Mahomes, but even with Travis Kelce. I mean, it's just continued to be a model of consistency with Coach Reid since he's been in Kansas City. We have the Chargers defense, and we have Kansas City with their defense as well. But I expect this game to come down to the quarterbacks, Justin Herbert and Patrick Mahomes. These two have been phenomenal since they've been in the league. Different, yet unique. And I think this game is going to be a great chapter, I should say, in this next chapter of the Chargers-Chiefs rivalry. This is going to be a game that is going to be must-see TV. Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes. I mean, we're watching two quarterbacks just entering their primes, and I think they're going to provide must-see TV, and I think this is going to be a great game. The Los Angeles Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. My game of the week. All right, before we get on out of here, I want to give you my picks on who I think will win Week 14's most important games. The Atlanta Falcons versus the Minnesota Vikings. I like Minnesota to win. The Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. I like Pittsburgh to win. The Seattle Seahawks versus the Arizona Cardinals. I like Seattle to win. The Chicago Bears versus the San Francisco 49ers. I like San Francisco to win. The Buffalo Bills versus the Los Angeles Rams. I like Buffalo to win. Sunday Night Football, the Los Angeles Chargers versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I like the Los Angeles Chargers to win. Monday Night Football, the Cincinnati Bengals versus the Dallas Cowboys. I like Cincinnati to win. So again, my picks are Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Seattle, San Francisco, Buffalo, LA Chargers, Cincinnati. And there you have it. And again, that's going to do it for another exciting edition of the program. And once again, a big special thank you to you, the listeners out there, for tuning into the program. That's why I do it. That's why we do it, to try to give you the latest and the greatest in the NFL. Until next time, everybody, I'm Ed Robinson saying so long, you take care, and enjoy the games. Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning into the channel. Remember to click like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.